Ainsley and reversing type 2 diabetes is huge. You know, that's a huge deal. And then during that episode, I think I mentioned it as well. I can't remember, but that got me to immediately think of the menopause episode we did with Helen. Because these are big subjects that people don't necessarily know a lot about, or should, well, don't know a lot about, and probably should, because considering what you put a stat out, was it 11% of the population or 10% of the population?
Yeah, I think it was yeah, one in 10 adults in the UK over 40 have got type 2 diabetes.
Yeah.
And in the States, the stat was 11.3, I think, percent of the total population has type 2 diabetes. You know,
I remember reading or hearing something, this was a few years ago, and I don't know how far true it'll be, but I can imagine it's a big figure, but it was like 11 billion or something was spent by the NHS managing type 2 diabetes, not trying to overcome it and all that, just managing the symptoms of it in people. So, which is a huge amount of, it's not necessarily wasted money, is it? But it's money that, you know, if everybody didn't have it, or the people who didn't need to have it, like Ainsley say, didn't have it, then, you know, that money could go somewhere else. But not saying that that's, you know, that everyone has to do that and all that, you know, it's people have lifestyle choices and that's the way it goes. But I just thought that was quite interesting. But those are the episodes that the two biggest for me, I think. But then from that, we went back to like Tracy Rifkin losing a load of weight and turning her life like on its head, upside down, from being obese to being like the swing queen, you know, and Chris Saremba as well. And, you know, those are the episodes that stick out for me as real life examples of what all, which is interesting. And we didn't talk about this before, which is what all of the other episodes lead up to. You know, go for a walk, you know, eat well, eat a calorie deficit if you want to lose weight, do some strength training, get some sleep, water, you know, walking, like we said, and all of that. All of those things and all of those principles that come out of all of the other episodes were demonstrated by the people in these episodes who turned their lives upside down, basically, who turned like completely overhauled their lifestyles and got the results. So, you know, it turns out that what we're talking about works, which is quite nice.
I think the thing is that people, we all learn best, don't we, from stories, from stories, and throughout, you know, human sort of evolution and civilization, stories have been told and passed down. And I think that sometimes when you actually hear stories from real people that actually back up and solidify the kind of the theory and the points that we talk about, it's so much more powerful when you hear about it from a regular person and someone who has used it in their own life and made it happen. And I think I've mentioned this on another podcast, I'm sure, was the Dr. Chatterjee one, where he was talking about community medicine and people actually learning to have a better lifestyle through kind of group interaction and having like a group of people who maybe all have type 2 diabetes, having a weekly meeting together, and not in the presence of a doctor, not in the presence of a trained expert, if you like, but in the presence of maybe other people who have had type 2 diabetes and managed to reverse it. So that you're then, it's the AA, the Alcoholics Anonymous kind of model of having a sponsor or having a mentor who's been there and done that and got the t-shirt, and then they actually share their wisdom and a support, encouragement, accountability, you know, all of that sort of thing is so powerful. And one of the things they said in that podcast was, if you've got some kind of disease or challenge or issue or problem, the most powerful thing you can do is find someone who has had that challenge themselves and they've overcome it. And I think when we do episodes with people talking about their own experiences, it then gives hopefully the listener a frame of reference and a kind of a grid point to think, well, actually this person's been where I am and they did A, B, C, and D, and now they're there. Maybe I can do the same thing. So I think that's why it's so powerful.
I think it's great for getting rid of excuses as well. And I'm gonna say that because that can be a harsh thing to say to someone. You're just making excuses and all this sort of stuff. Because you'll get single mums and dads and all these people with no time, people who've got 3 jobs and and all that. Like, oh, it's easy for them and it's easy for you because you're a trainer and not for me because of this and blah blah. But if you show them someone who's in a similar position who thought the same at the time as well, but actually then just said, "No, sorry, I'm going to do it." Because Ainsley said, didn't he? He said if you'd have told him it was going to take him a year. He was going to have to walk every day for 2 hours. He was going to have to eat this and that. And he was going to have to eat broccoli and blah, blah. And why he was like, oh, I wouldn't have done it. He just did day 1. And then he did day 2. And then he did day 3, which is that's like the 12-step thing as well, isn't it? You wake up every day and it's a new day. And your addiction or whatever is coming at you. So you've got to overcome it that day and the next day and the next day and just take each day as it comes. And I think having a real life example of that, and like you say, these community things are great as well. Like having a real life example of someone who's like, do you know what? I thought exactly the same as you. And here's why I was getting in my own way. And here's the thoughts that came up. And then here's what I did about it. And then people can relate to that rather than someone like us who've never been anywhere near type 2 diabetes might say, well, you just eat better. And they'll go, yeah, but you don't know because you haven't had it. You haven't been there, have you? So it's like, it's hard to then get a point across, isn't it? I suppose some people will listen, but other people are like, no, I don't agree, or that's not me. So then if they can see that it is them, they'll be like, right, okay, hang on, I'm getting in my own way now. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul?
I mean, ironically, I wish I had a picture of me looking awful, because just
a screenshot.
I was waiting for that. I walked into that one.
You did.
Yeah. But during my 20s, late 20s, when I put on a ton of weight, and I probably was on the border of pre-diabetic, I think, probably looking back, I just didn't let anyone take photos of me. So having that kind of social proof, there's a couple of photos I found of me just looking really chubby, but they're just like in clubs and stuff like that. It's powerful to have those stories, isn't it? It's powerful because now when I turn around to people, I say, look, oh yeah, I know knee pain. I could barely walk when I was like 28. I couldn't sit down without being in excruciating pain. People don't believe me, because I'm quite far removed from it now. And so it's all just anecdotal. So it's for me, it's quite good to almost by proxy kind of interview these people who've been through these big changes, because a lot of what I'm telling people is the things that work. But what these people have done really well is that they haven't tried to do everything. If you listen to each of their individual stories, they've latched onto 1 or 2 things and trusted them and seen where they can go with them, whether it's Christopher Ember just going, I'll just start to walk. I'm just going to walk. I'm going to make every opportunity I can to do some walking. I'm going to put it into my diary and walk on a treadmill. I'm going to walk to work. I'm going to do this. And then that, because he was consistent, led him down a path. I mean, on my own journey, the changes I made led me down a path. And each point along that journey, I discovered something new. And I think with these podcasts and interviewing these people, every single one of them has maybe started in a similar place, maybe overweight or injured or whatever, or unhappy with where they are. I mean, take what's his name, kettlebell instructor who recently had the operation. Where's my brain gone?
Oh, Jeff Sokol.
Jeff Sokol been on his own journey with his mental health, and his mental health journey has also opened up doors and opportunities, despite it being crippling at times for him. And each one of the guests we've interviewed has had a different. It's like they've stopped at a different station each time. But that to use the analogy, the train they're on is kept going. It's getting them closer and closer to their destination. But each time they get off, each of them are testing a different flavor. They're finding a different perspective. And I think that's what's great looking back over those 99 episodes, whether it's Jeff, whether it's Chris Saremba, whether or not it's Ainsley or Helen, or Maggie, for example. All of them have had a unique perspective and a unique stop-off point and a unique journey. But it's a great expression of what it is when you really do take some of these basic principles, not all of them, but some of them, and really walk with them and really run with them and really try them out.